Thank you for tuning in to Uncommon Women, a podcast that provides a platform for women of all walks of life to share their upbringings, life lessons learned, experiences, and journeys to come. Uncommon Women speaks on topics that can relate to all women. We share, we listen, we laugh, we cry, and we empower each other to be the best uncommon woman that they can be. Ultimately, we are cultivating a global movement of women supporting women. Women supporting entrepreneurship, relationships, self-love, and so much more. We inspire each other to make an impact on this world for the better. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Uncommon Women. Now, finally, grab a seat, get comfortable, and hear from your wonderful hosts, Shanira and Jenny Lee. Good evening. Thank you for tuning in to Uncommon Women. I'm Shanira.
And I'm Jenny Lee.
And today we have an amazing guest speaker that's going to come on and share her testimony in regards to jumping out of her shell and being an introvert and actually helping others. To tell you a little bit about Julia, she is an inspiring business owner who is also a blogger. She's actually an upcoming author, which I'm super excited about as well. But what she does is she helps and inspires other introverted business owners on how to gain visibility. She has recently started her business as a ghostwriter for service providers who needed blogging services. And she also hopes to inspire more introverts to utilize the PR marketing platforms to gain more exposure for their brands. So thank you, Julie, for tuning in and being a part of Uncommon Women. We are so thrilled to have you as a guest speaker today. Thank you. Is there anything that you wanted to add that we didn't go over in regards to your bio? Anything that you would like everyone to know?
No, I mean, I think you pretty much knocked it out of the ballpark. Thank you so much, Uncommon Women, for having me and for letting me share my testimony and to gain that more visibility and to help other people as well. Just, be their true, authentic self. And that's what's really important right now.
Yes. We definitely do need some more authentic people in the world, and we appreciate you for coming on and sharing your testimony. So before we get into all the good stuff, can you tell us a little bit about your life and how was it growing up?
Sure. I am from Montreal, apparently, from originally, and what had happened was I am somebody that has been undiagnosed with autism, and it was something that I've lived with like all through my like childhood, but it was never really officially as I said, officially diagnosed. And I had gone through a lot of the symptoms, and also one of the biggest factors that was very, very important, like it was social. Like my social skills I was lacking in that. But I was like, well, because I think I didn't have the proper social skills to interact with a lot of people, but also I was also an introvert as well. And when you're an introvert, it's kind of hard for you to be around big groups of people, and you always want to be alone. So there were those factors as well. But like I would say, like I would probably autism played a lot, because you miss social cues, you don't know how to interact with people. So it was very hard for me, like having to grow up and having to deal with that. And then like as a result of that, I started a new school in the third grade, and kids didn't understand me because they thought I was weird, that I didn't talk much, I didn't speak a lot in class, I was painfully shy, and I didn't really interact with a lot of people. So like they kind of shunned me and alienated me to a point where like one kid in class was kind of just got the whole class turned against me, because he was just like I don't know, bullying, but sometimes you have like one bully in the class, and he's just kind of manipulates everybody without even knowing it. And then now, so that was like one dark period in life, and I had to go to school every day and just like, gosh, how am I gonna this without like somebody making fun of me or like treating me like an ace. So anyway, short, I did manage to get through that. It did happen throughout my elementary school the time, and then I switched schools. But I still had I still was very introverted and still very shy, and I'm still very I went through that traumatic experience, and it was still haunting me. And it was just hard for me to like come out of my shell. I would say it started like when I was a little bit older, like when I went to college and university, and I started a little bit more out of my shell. But I mean, like when it comes to like being introverted and dealing with a disability, there's so much adversity, and there's so much you have to work through.
Wow. That has to be tough, especially the whole school, just turning around on you.
I would probably, as a kid, was there times where you would just make stuff up not to want to go to school, like tell your parents that you were sick, or you just kind of like dealt with it?
Yes, yeah, I think so. That I think I can recall that there were times where I felt like really nervous and like my stomach would hurt, and because I was just dreading having to go and having to face, like, I wouldn't say the kids in my school, but like my class treated me kind of funny, and I didn't want to be there. I was just so uncomfortable, and I was just like, it was tough, like just enjoying my childhood in that sense. I mean, I was lucky that I was able to have some kids in my neighborhood because I was older than them, but my own peers, like, they treated me like I was just, like a piece of garbage. And I didn't want to say that word, but it's just, when people are different,
Yeah.
they don't know how to react to that kind of things.
That's true.
Yeah.
Were you able to confide in anyone when you got bullied for being shy and, not speaking out to others?
I would say my mother, actually. Like, she was my rock, and she was my voice. Like, I didn't have a voice at that time because I was somebody that, well, it was a people pleaser and didn't
Mhm.
didn't know how to make a scene and didn't know how to stand up for myself. So like I would go and complain to my mom, oh, this the kid is bothering me, or this kid is bothering me, and she's like, okay, I'll go handle it. And she would literally come to the school and just talk to the people for me.
Mama bear.
So that's why she was
Right.
like my yeah. And the kid, like, why are you always bringing your mom? But I was like,
Oh,
at the time, it probably felt stupid, but at the same time, like she was like that voice that I didn't have. So like, I'll always appreciate her for
Yeah.
that. And I learned a lot from that. So I think look, having gone through that experience taught me to, like, now it's time for me to blow my voice, because now I want to be seen and heard.
Oh, okay. When you started getting
Yeah.
bullied, did your mom ever did notice any like? Did she notice that you were acting different or strange at any time? And that's what before you confided in her before, because usually when somebody gets bullied, they they act different, and the parents always asking them like, "Hey, what's going on?" And then you when like Shanara said and asked you, like when with the excuse is not going to school, did she notice anything was wrong with you prior before you confided in her and you told her?
Um. No, because I think at this point it was like an everyday occurrence. So I think she just
Okay.
kind of knew, just automatically asked, oh, did anybody bother you today, or did anybody do something to
Okay.
you today? So I think it was, she kind of like, she knew who I was already and what type of person I was. So she was just easily sensitive, or just was just like, okay, be on it.
Okay.
He's bothering her. Let's take care of it. So that first instinct kind of, yeah.
mm, mm.
Okay.
So after your mother, she came and been your protector through all the bullying and, just being there for you. How did you adapt to the negativity? Now, not only being bullied for being shy and having everyone turn against you, but I'm sure everyone always like, oh, she calls her mom for everything. How did you adapt to that type of negativity in school?
Uh, I mean, obviously, I guess it made them. I mean, once she spoke to them, that they did kind of lay off and did have a little bit of respect for me. They probably didn't like, but I think it was just, that was what I felt like I had to do. Like, I felt like I
Mm-hmm.
had to do to survive, because nowadays, like, with the amount of, like, I can see in the media, like, there's kids that or position that don't have that support and don't have that network, so they don't talk, they get bullied or they get harassed, and they don't speak to anybody about it. And then look what happens, there's suicide and there's like shootings and all that,
Right.
because they're like,
Yeah.
they keep it up inside so much, and then it's like they snap. So I think, like, now when I think about it, like what I went through, like I talked to her, and I code through it, and kind of give me that confidence, and that to and myself, help me with my self-worth, and who knows how I would have been. Like, she kept me grounded in
Right.
that way. So I felt like at the time I was doing a good thing. Like, yes, like, she was my voice, she spoke to me, and now they could leave me alone. I was just hoping to next day, you know what I mean? Like, I could go to school the next day and have a much better, they're not bothering me. So I don't know, I've always been like a different person in that way, resilient in that way. Like, it's like, okay, I didn't let it get to me.
Hmm.
Well, that's good that you had some tough skin in the long run because people can be so rude and
Yes.
mean, and
Mm-hmm.
like you said, suicide
Mm-hmm.
is sky high, you know,
It is.
for children or teens that aren't able to adapt or, you know, deal with that type of negativity.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that you didn't take that route and that you were able to just move past that. So moving forward past elementary and, you know, going into middle school and, you know, finding out that you were diagnosed with a disability, and then also finding out on top of being an introvert. Do you know there's four different types of introverts? So do you know what type you are?
Well, from what I researched, I'm between like a social and a restraint. So social is like somebody that is can be sociable, but not doesn't necessarily like to be around big groups. They like to be around small
Mm.
groups, like have a few friends and be very
Agree.
comfortable. And then there's a restraint, which is like introvert who warm up to people. So I find like I'm a bit of both. So and that's how I've always been, and I guess that's how I still am. But
Okay.
I'm trying to kind of break out of that shell too, because if I didn't do that, talking to you guys, like an introvert doesn't easily just like hop on a camera
No,
with
they
people they don't
don't.
know. So I mean, maybe now there's an extrovert side coming out.
That's
Hey, baby
So
steps. Go
yeah,
ahead,
I guess you
Nikki.
could
yep,
say
yep, definitely.
introvert moving. Yeah, yeah. So introvert going to
And
become
you
more of an extrovert.
okay. And it's great practice to start with us, first of all, because we're like the most down to earth people that you could possibly
Mhm.
probably meet.
Extrovert. Extremely.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we want everybody to be comfortable. We want everybody
Exactly.
to
Hmm.
enjoy being in your own skin, and
Hmm.
we don't care what others think. You know,
Hmm.
we this is a safe space on the podcast to be yourself and be open and speak on anything that's in your heart, because we want you to be able to share your thoughts and not be judged.
Yep.
This is a judge free zone.
yeah.
And
I hope
I
so.
no, it's a judge free zone, and I applaud you for coming on and, you know, just taking the step to actually speak on this, because we have a lot of people in the world that's introverts that don't, this is not their field of what they want to do, but they want to branch out and do businesses, but this is not something that they're
Cup
comfortable
of
with doing.
tea.
Hmm.
So this is a good strategy for other people to actually learn and engage and to see how you were able to actually do it.
Yep.
So
Agree.
where did this start
Yeah.
with you? Where did the change start of wanting to fight back and to do more than just being in your own shell and wanting to branch out?
Because I think like a lot of other experiences I've been through as well, and I'll tell you another experience too. Like, the effect of me being an introvert and then not having my voice was also work my very first job, like while I was going to university, and I had a very tough manager, and she put a lot of stress on me, or a lot of stress on the whole, you know, whole company, or because it was just like I was working in customer service, and there's always like go go go, and then like she was just somebody who was just very strict, and she just didn't she didn't know how to manage properly, and then you could obviously tell that she wore her stress on her sleeve, and then she'll take it out on other people. And
Hmm.
then eventually what happened, like I stayed there for 3 years, and then it's like the stress even took a toll on my physical
Mhm.
health, because and I ended up starting getting high blood pressure, and then like after that it turned into something more, and then like I was getting like these little angina attacks, and then yeah, I ended up with like coronary artery disease, and that could have been something that was manifesting since I was a little kid, but because I went through this whole stressful ordeal, and then this kind of like made me kind of look having a different outlook on things, and then also not having the voice to stand up to her and just quit, or
Yeah.
because I needed the job, but
Wow.
then and then also like it was just really tough time, because I had to think of like, well, I have to put myself through school, but then I also got to deal with this crap too. So it was another learning experience too, that I had to deal with, and learn to stand up for myself and not tolerate this, or else I could have been dead in the ground, and we don't need that. So
Right.
what really made me change is also I always, after that experience, I said, you know what, I want to own a business of my own, and I want to make sure that I don't tolerate and treat people like crap, and
Mm.
I know how to manage, and I know how to express my voice and tell people how I feel. So from since then, I've always been seeing like I have to like work for myself, and I have to make sure that my voice is always heard. So I would say that was like a big instance too. So that, and then having what happened to me as well. So if that answers your
That's
question.
amazing. That's
Yes.
Thank you.
amazing. That's amazing. You just like had enough and just found your voice. And sometimes it just takes for us to go through certain things in our life to like find that voice. And I applaud you for that, for
Yeah.
finally like, you know what, I'm not gonna deal with this crap anymore, and you found your voice.
No. Yeah. And
Um
after that, I had to like eliminate. Oh, yeah.
no, go ahead, finish. Go ahead.
I had to. Well, another thing too. After when I went through those experiences, I said, you know what? It's also got to avoid a negativity. You don't want to be around so much toxicity.
Mhm.
And those two
Yeah.
instances where I had a lot of toxicity. So even like I had to take a look at my, my relationships in my life, like my friends and the type of people I were attracting. And I was just like, I had to eliminate that toxicity in my life too, because if I wanted to start fresh and I wanted to, have some positive impact, and I could not. I had to start cutting people off that were just bringing me down and like sucking all my energy. So that was also another breaking point as well, to
That's
like
so good.
to get rid of that negativity.
Yeah, yeah. So also, can you speak on some ways to help other introverts get over the fear of being socially awkward? I can imagine you were there at one point and now you're able to speak and express yourself.
Mm, as an introvert, like I think I have to think about it, but it's like really like I guess like just listening to my testimony, and like definitely first and foremost, definitely try to get rid of all that negativity in your life. But somebody, like, I guess because I had a disability, I think it was just what I did was try to put myself more out there. So like I took a lot of jobs that required me to have to force myself to talk to people, and like
Okay.
I was always like in the front face, and that's how I was able to do this. So um it's kind of different in that situation, because like I said, I'm dealing with this, so I had to kind of learn to find a way. But I think it's because I was always highly motivated and highly ambitious that I was able to like succumb through that. But I mean, it's all about baby steps at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
just go in and talk to somebody, say hi, how are you, like I think the other day somebody approached me on the street and just started randomly talking to me, and then he was like, yeah, I'm an introvert too, but I set a goal for myself that I'm going to speak to at least one stranger or one person that I don't know.
Mm.
And so like
Wow.
that's something that could help as well. Yeah.
That's
So
amazing.
it really all depends on what type of, because I mean I can't really, it's all different advice for people. I could just say get out there, but not
Mhm.
everybody's comfortable with that. And like we mentioned,
Yeah.
there's four different types of introverted people, so it really all depends on where you fall. So it's really hard to say like what type of advice, but I would just say just if you really want to have your voice heard, then you're definitely like somebody like me who's in the business world. I'm using like PR marketing skills, so now I want to talk about my story in magazines and books and in podcasts and whatnot. And so it's just getting your story out there will make you feel good, and it's very therapeutic as well. So I think that's how an introvert should, if they wanted to turn into an extrovert. I think they just gotta take these little baby steps, or just figure out a strategy,
That's really good. And I think
if
networking
that
events are
helps.
really good as well. Stepping out of your
Hmm.
shell and trying to
Yep.
be social and things like that. Have you ever been to any networking events?
I've been to a couple of pop up. Well, I think one pop up shop, like that I was like inspired that yes, I'm gonna have to start selling some digital products. But I think I have been like, because I was wanting to own a business, so I was looking at little franchises and I guess those type of networking events. But I like them. I would definitely love to go to more if I can.
Okay,
So I'm hoping that I could like scale my business that way as well.
that's good. Do you get anxiety being around new people for a long period of time, or just trying new things when you first started coming out of your shell, or from time to time now, or do you feel a little bit more comfortable?
And when it's funny when I read that question and I was like, um, it's like yes, it's common that with around new people you're going to get more shy and you're going to get more, you're not going to be yourself. But I'm still like that even with people that I've known for a long time. Like
Oh
sometimes
wow.
I'll go to friend of
Wow.
I go to a friend of a friend's party, and then I know these people for like years, but I still can't muster up the courage to like just have a regular conversation with them. I still feel awkward and out of place. So, and I'm also somebody that's like I'm a social introvert to an extent. Like I love having my little close group of friends, but then when it's a part of somebody where there's 20 people or there's 15 people and I'm not exactly 100% close with them, I still kind of climb up a little bit, and I still want to stay in the corner
Mm,
and just talk to
in
my
the
friend.
corner.
So
mm.
yeah, so sometimes even with strangers, I feel I'm hell of a lot more comfortable than with people that I've known for so long.
Wow.
I don't know if you
Hmm.
guys feel that way, but yeah, it's like it's like the opposite.
Well,
Mm.
I can see how you can feel that way because it's like people really, strangers really don't know you like the
Mm-hmm.
you. So
Yep.
it's like
Hmm.
easier for you to just not necessarily act, but like step out of your comfort zone because they're just getting to know you for the first time versus people that you already know. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I can see how that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and yeah, sometimes you realize that like, oops, when you're speaking to strangers, that it's easier and more comfortable because sometimes you realize, hey, I have more in common with this person than someone that I've known for already like 10 years and I hardly have
Mm-hmm.
anything in common
Mm-hmm.
with. So
Mm-hmm. Very true. Very true.
That's so true.
And then you can just have that whole conversation and build sort of a relationship with the stranger because you probably have relatable stories in a way, and you're just like, so you get comfortable with them because you're more comfortable speaking to them because you might never see them again. So it's like, okay, I don't have to see them again. I won't have the anxiety or the discomfort of ever seeing them again because whatever I said to them you know can just go away. And you know as instead of like the people that they'll bring it up again and talk about it, something that you don't want to talk about. So
yeah, for sure. But I also had something to say with in regards to like how to make introverts like step more out of their comfort zone. Something I
okay.
live with Steve Harvey. Like I'm sure you obviously everybody knows, but he always used to have this mantra about get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So I always try to live by that as
Hmm,
well. And I think that's something that
nice.
introverts and even extroverts should try to live with, try to go by, especially if they're trying to get out of their comfort zone and trying to be more social or just trying to try different things. Like you gotta you gotta like, get out of that comfortable place to
Mm,
get uncomfortable.
yes.
And somebody, for example, somebody like me who's like talking to you right now, but I couldn't have done this maybe 5-10 years ago because I was deathly afraid of showing my face on camera. I didn't like to, I didn't like people seeing me for like who I was because I was like my worst critic and I was so hard on myself. So
Mm,
this is like a big step for me. And this year, for some reason, it just took off, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and so far it's working. Like as the more you do this, it gets easier and easier. So hopefully that could be a little shining light for some introverts to just do it.
mm, I like that. I like that. That is
Thanks.
amazing. That is amazing. um can you speak on some myths about introverts?
Well, one, they say that we don't like people, but that's not necessarily the case. You can see that we do like people, but it's just like it's all depends on our comfort level. And like some introverts could still be around a lot of people, and then some could be
Mhm.
around very few people, or they get very anxious around people, or they're just like to be by themselves all the time, and they just off thinking and being too reflective. And but I mean, I think the biggest one I've heard for an introvert is I don't like people, but no, it's not necessarily the case. So I like people, but I can only take them in small doses. So
Mm,
yeah.
okay, okay, okay.
That's understandable.
Yeah.
Um, being as though you shy away from meeting new people and just staying with the people that you have in your circle and being close with the people that you have in a circle. Do you struggle with different relationships or dating or things like that?
um that's a good one. I do. I guess I could say I do struggle with it. I don't really like to talk much about it, but all I could tell you is that yeah, sometimes like I'm like the what is it called? Sorry, the restrained introvert comes out because I'm somebody that likes to take the time to get to know somebody, and that's not always the case when you're dating because people they just want it fast and furious sometimes, or some people
Mhm.
just want to get to know get to know you quickly so they can know if you're the one or not, and then they can move on to the next person. But like I said, I like to establish genuine relationships before I'm like more comfortable and not. So, sorry, can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, I was just asking, like, do you struggle with different relationships? We talked a little bit about, friendships, and that you say that you're good with just the people you have in your circle. So I just wanted to hear from like an introvert's perspective in regards to dating. Do you struggle with relationships and trying to meet new people as far as when it comes to dating, or are you married, or what is your relationship status?
Well, right now I'm currently single, and right now I'm perfectly okay with that because I'm trying to develop myself and then hopefully become a little take get that little introvert out of out to become more of a little extrovert. So then I can meet that right person. But going back to your question, yeah, like because like online dating sometimes it does intimidate me a little bit because it's just like too much going on there, and it's like I would just rather just meet somebody organically where it could just be much easier to have a conversation. So I guess that
Mhm.
could be a little intimate, that could be a little overwhelming for an
Hmm.
introvert. So that's why I kind of try to avoid that space, because it's like more extroverted people, you always hear that they're the ones who are always successful with their dating, but not as not necessarily the case. Introverts can do it too, but it just might
Hmm.
take us longer, or might take us more time. So
Because you like to get to know the person, and you want to build that relationship. So I can
Mhm.
understand
Yeah,
when
nothing
that
wrong
comes
with
into
that.
place. And
Nothing
nothing
wrong
wrong
in
with
doing
that.
that. Take your time. And I think that's important. In reality, we need to take time in relationships and getting to know people, anyways. Either you're introvert or extrovert,
Right.
that is important. You can't just, like you said, Julie, you can't, people want to get to know you and just jump the broom. Like,
mm-hmm.
no.
And I'm
But
I'm not about that, so
hmm
maybe before 10 years ago, but now like I'm almost 40 years old, so I'm looking for something substantial at this point. So
yes, girl,
Well,
yes,
as you
preach it,
should,
say it.
as you should,
Hmm.
as you should
Hmm.
be building that foundation, because we do live in a society where a lot is just microwaved. You got
Hmm.
DoorDash, you got Uber, we got everything that just
Hmm.
can come to you, and you can get where you want to go quickly. And relationships shouldn't be the same way.
Nope. Agree.
So
no,
that's
for
great that
sure.
you're
So
taking your time. Absolutely.
You talked
yeah.
about how you're building your business. Can you speak a little bit about your business? And also, I know you have mentioned that you have a book. Can you also speak on that as well?
Okay, so like I said, I'll kind of jump back a little bit to the beginning. So when I said I wanted to own a business, I finally decided I wanted to do something in the online space. I wanted to work remotely, have flexibility and freedom, and then I decided that okay, maybe a freelancer or a virtual assistant might be something that I could dip my toes into. So then I took some courses, I tried it, and I realized I really love to create content, which is like blogging, social media captions, and purposing the content. So I haven't really per se. I could really say like it's not hasn't been 100% successful as of yet because I work full time as well. I forgot to mention that I have a job in a hospital. I work customer service, but then and I'm at this when I'm not doing that, then I'm trying to like build this business. So I've been taking a lot of like interning work to gain those skills, and for some reason like along the way like it seemed like the Lord was pivoting me to like be more of a coach or be more of like go into PR marketing to really like tell my story to the world, because I watched a lot of motivational speakers that always sharing their story, and they're so vulnerable, and I think for somehow it attracted me, and it made it I was admired by that, and I was like, you know what, I have a story to tell, I'll do the same thing too. So not
Mhm.
only am I trying to now help other business owners create their content, like especially when it comes to introverts or anyone with minor disabilities, but I'm also trying to help them find their voice in the online space and help them just tell their story, amplify their voices if they never had the chance. So in regards to my book now, like I've been fighting for over a couple of months now to be launching my ebook, and it's called From Pain to Passion to Purpose: Her True Voice, and it's just like a little short ebook that's going to be like a Kindle size, and it's just basically talking about my whole, like talking about my life, like pretty much a summary of everything I've talked to you guys about, and then I'll be dropping some gems of like how to like overcome that and to like to be the best version of yourself. So
Mm.
that's where I'm aiming at. I'm hoping by like next week that it will be on Kindle, or I'll at least have a couple copies, like links I could like promote for people just to read and give me some feedback and reviews. So I'm definitely excited for that as well. And then I'm hoping to launch my own digital magazine and interview other women as well who will have been, to share their true voice as well, and start a podcast in the future. Like I've got so many ideas to launch, so many ideas to like to marinate on, so many ideas I want to do to like just help people and just to helping myself too, because it's giving me that therapeutic it's giving me like a therapy. Like even talking to you guys, it's like my therapy, because I held it in for so long, and it's just like now it's finally time to talk about it, and like hopefully it will help somebody else. So that's my whole point.
That's amazing. And I applaud you for, stepping out of your comfort zone and, living that quote that you've heard. Because I love that quote as well.
Mm-hmm.
I actually put it in one of my journals. But being comfortable and being uncomfortable is the way to go. And it's actually led you into doing things that you, I'm sure, never expected to do if you look at yourself 10 years from now. So I applaud you from stepping out of your comfort zone and, wanting to just do more and just help other introverts and um, build yourself up through the way. So speaking on that, is there any closing thoughts you would like to share to actually help women or anyone that um, possibly is an introvert as well?
Mm, well, not, I mean, other than like get comfortable with being uncomfortable, but just even if you are an introvert, like just be comfortable with who you are, and there's nothing completely wrong with that at all. Like anybody could be an introvert, or anybody could be an extrovert. For somebody like me, I was always ashamed of like being an introvert, and also ashamed of having this disability to go alongside it. And I thought that if I didn't have these two qualities, then maybe like life would have worked out differently for me, and I would have been able to manifest things that I wanted, or would have been more bold to like get out there. But then it's like I realized this is a part of who I am, and it's like a superpower somebody else had mentioned. So I want to use that superpower and kind of just spread positivity instead of using it to spread negativity. And
Yes.
yeah, and especially now with everything going on in the world, and like I just say thank God every day that like I was able to be grounded and have my mother by my side to kind of just just to encourage me. And because God forbid if I didn't have that, like I was mentioning before, like who knows. So anyway, but yeah, I mean, for any woman, it's just like believe yourself, and if I can do it and I could step out there and show the way, and be that extrovert, then I think it's possible for anyone as well.
Yes.
It's amazing. Amazing. Uh, Thank you so much,
Thanks.
Julie, for your story, and thank you for stepping out. I really applaud you for that. And then that you're gonna you're gonna inspire others to be able to step out just like that, just with your testimony, and with your business growing, and then your book that you have, and to our audience that are watching. Um, if you're an introvert, make sure check out our video in the beginning and how she speaks on her story and how she came about to be not just an introvert, but also sort of coming out a little bit as an extrovert. Can I say that? So, anyways, thank you again for coming out. And also, we have a question we ask all our guest speakers. What
Hmm.
makes you uncommon?
What makes me uncommon? uh I guess just my uniqueness. uncommon uniqueness. I don't know. Like you said, like I went through school and I felt like I was the only person that was highly unique because I was dealing with all these struggles, and then I was also somebody that was always highly ambitious, a highly ambitious introvert. You know what I mean? So I it could maybe that was make me uncommon, or just the fact that I'm like sitting here, expressing my vulnerability, and not everybody can do that, or everybody has the will to do that. So I guess just like my will, my drive, my passion, my persistence, my ambition, and my uniqueness, if that helps.
Oh, that's amazing, amazing. I mean, you are uncommon. Every person is uncommon. And thank you again for coming on. Shanara, do we have any um, comments from the audience?
Nope, no questions from the audience. You're good to
Okay.
go.
Thank you again, and thank you to our audience that is watching. Make sure you come out and check out our apparel at www.uncommonwomen.net. Also, do not forget to check out our YouTube channel, Uncommon Women Podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe. Also, make sure you come check me out Instagram Live, June 14 at 6 o'clock p.m. I will be having an amazing guest speaker where she's going to be speaking on blindness awareness. And also, if you or anyone wants to come on our platform to speak on awareness, if you have a story or advocating, make sure you can email me at uncommon3women@gmail.com. And as well as I'm still looking for someone to come on for the month of June. I am looking for currently for 3 awarenesses for
July. Sorry, the month of July.
month of July. Thank you for the correction. For the month of July, I am looking for a cleft, craniofacial, and sarcoma awareness. Again, you can email me at uncommon3women@gmail.com, and make sure you tune in next week, next Thursday at 7 p.m. for another awesome, great testimony. And everyone, stay uncommon. Bye.
Bye.